What is the point in lightweight electric mountain bikes? Sure, they're light enough to sling over your shoulder, but with their smaller, lower powered motors, sometimes the struggle is real. But it's not all about power. First up, the new super light e-bikes look absolutely amazing. It's not all about the visual appeal either, because the real magic of the lightweight bikes is how they ride. They give a completely different feel. The direct connection to the trail, the way they can move around, and the complete handling characteristics are way closer to a regular pedal bike than an e-bike. In fact, the newest generation of superlights allow the electronics, motors and batteries to virtually disappear into the background and allow the traditional experience of mountain biking to come to the forefront. So this video, in association with TQ, is a deeper dive into the tech and the riding characteristics behind these lightweight bikes.
E-bike design has changed massively over the past few years, and we've got a few different categories of e-bikes out on the market, from full power and heavier e-bikes to these super light e-bikes that we have here. In fact, the lightweight category has really rapidly grown over the past few years. And what I have here is what I think is some of the most unique and interesting lightweight e-bikes on the market. To me, this is visually one of the slimmest profiles of electric mountain bikes I've ever seen. And can you tell that this has got a 360 watt-hour battery and a 300 watt motor built into this? So in this video, I want to answer a question that I get asked quite often, and that is, what is the point in lightweight e-bikes? They are totally different to a full fat and they offer a different ride experience. And TQ e-bikes offer a unique experience within the lightweight category as well. So who exactly are these lightweight e-bikes for? And perhaps, who are they not for?
Over the few years that I've been riding the lightweight e-bikes, I've started to understand both their strengths and weaknesses. And just like all bikes, there are pros and cons to riding them. I love the feel of them on the trails, and the phrase you might often hear is they ride like a normal bike, but you can go further and faster, which is very true. But can they actually climb up the steep stuff like you can on a full fat electric mountain bike?
These definitely make you as a rider work hard. You cannot be a passenger, you cannot just spin at a slow cadence and the bike propel you along. It wants you to put in the cadence and it wants you to put in the watts. There's a hill over here, it's fairly steep and it's quite loose. And I want to try it on this bike. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get to the top because I don't think it's that type of e-bike. But I think it might just give me enough. If I can get traction and keep the rear spinning, I think I might be able to make it. On a full power e-bike, by the way, you easily make this. You can just spin and it will crank you all the way to the top. But the riding experience on this is totally different to a full power. You feel the burn a little bit. You feel the burn in your legs. On continuous long climbs, you feel like you're maybe riding a regular pedal bike, but you go a bit faster. But for super steep climbs, I'm not sure. Let's give it a go. I'm having to get into the easiest gear and work hard. It gets a bit steeper here. And I'm gonna have to spin. Spin! Okay, I'm gonna give it another go. That hurt. I was in the full power mode and spinning as hard as I could. And I just got to the point where I lost momentum and just basically went over like a sack of potatoes. I think this would be a climb that would be virtually impossible on a regular pedal bike. I don't think you're getting any traction there. I'm going to try it again. I think what I need to do is get as much momentum as possible, keep the back wheel spinning at all times, and use my weight to kind of get the bike up over those little bumps and stuff. This is not just pulling me up like you might get on a full power e-bike. Oh God, it's just these little roots here. Just some things cannot be conquered on the super lights with the lower power motors. So you can see here I'm having to crank. I'm in the easiest gear, the biggest cog, and I'm having to spin. And here's where it gets a bit more techie. I think what it is, a combination of a couple of things. It doesn't have the motor overrun that you tend to get on some of the full power e-bikes. No, I just stall when I come to this bit. The pure grunt that I need to clear this is just not quite there. I think it's defeated me. I think this is a full power e-bike climb, and this is one that's super light at my skill level, just cannot conquer. I don't like failing, I don't like not conquering things. Spin, 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 come on, yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes, I did it. Woo. Honestly, did not think I would do that. This is what I mean by the burn on a bike. I can feel it. That's hard, man. And the feeling that you get on this gives you a sense of achievement. On a full power 85-90 Newton meter e-bike, that is a piece of cake. And it can feel like you've not really accomplished much. I feel so happy that I've conquered that. It's only a small climb, but it gets steep towards the top. And trust me, it's hard, but I did it.
Riding these lightweights on steep climbs still gives that feeling of the burn. And the high heart rate, heavy breathing, you gotta put in the work still. It'll just give you a helping hand. But it feels extremely rewarding when you get to the top.
At the heart of any good e-bike is the motor and electronic system. And this little motor unit from TQ puts out up to 300 watts of peak power. And it's not much bigger than a clenched fist. It is such a small piece of design and engineering. And it's remarkable that this bike here contains this down in the bottom bracket area, smaller than the chainring and so compact that they can fit it into this bike frame.
The small motor design not only helps with aesthetics, but there's some functional benefits too. Bike designers are more free to be creative with suspension kinematics and frame design.
The bigger the motor, the more constrained designers are in fitting everything in. It is a big thing that you have to design around, but having a motor that is this size allows bikes to be completely wild and maybe a little bit different, like this Scott Voltage here. The motor sits in there, and just above is the shock. That shock is completely contained within the frame. And that really is made possible because of the sheer size and how small and compact this motor is. And then if we take a look at the Ikki from Unno, this has a super interesting rear suspension layout. You can see how close this shock is down to the bottom bracket area. The motor is really neatly packaged just behind the crank here, and the shock placement has allowed Unno to create a 170, 160mm enduro bike and hardly have any constraints with packaging this rear shock down here. So cruising around on these bikes, not only do they look wildly different, I mean you couldn't get more different, they do feel quite different to ride as well. So the Scott 29/29 and 2.6 tyres, it feels really comfortable to ride and actually quite agile, and it is a fair bit lighter, about 1 kilo lighter than the Unno, and I can notice that. It feels like a very nimble, active, agile, like poppy little trail bike, and it's pretty fast to ride. And the Unno feels way slacker, which I really like. It feels more confidence assuring going downhill, although I am noticing that this dropper I cannot get low enough for me, and to the point I'd probably drop that even more and sacrifice like the climbing or the height of the saddle at full extension. But this is slacker, it's a mullet build, and it's longer travel, and this is brilliant riding downhill. They feel so different to ride. They are different bikes, they're different geo, they share the same motor, so you get similar pedaling performance, but they're vastly different in how they perform on the trails.
Let's face it, look and bike aesthetics usually influence our buying decisions, and whilst e-bikes have come a long way with deleting bulky frame-mounted batteries and chunky displays, it's only the Superlights that seem to have got everything pretty dialed in the aesthetics and integration department. With a motor that's barely visible, TQ bikes have removed as much e-bike clutter as possible. There's a discrete display sunken into the top tube, and the display gives basic but essential details back to the rider, like battery levels, rider power, and remaining range. I believe design and aesthetics are important, and these bikes are amongst some of the most clutter-free and minimalist bikes on the market.
So from this view here, side on, aesthetically this bike is so slimline and so minimalist that I bet you nobody could pick this out as being an e-bike amongst other regular pedal bikes. The design of it is pretty exquisite, and it just shows you how far e-bike design has progressed over the past few years. The best thing about the lightweight bikes is the feeling on the trail. You cannot get close to a lightweight e-bike feeling unless you've got this low weight. Everything flows, the bike tips in, and it feels like it's way more responsive and agile on the trails. It's the closest experience to a regular pedal bike I've ever had. But in some instances, I think they actually descend better with that little bit of extra weight from the battery and the motor placed quite low. The ride-in feel that you get from the Superlight bikes is absolutely unique. They tip in, you can feel the trails more, they give more rider feedback, and you get a closer connection to all of the trail features. I'm less of a passenger. I don't plow through things like I can on a full power bike, which I enjoy as well, but it gives a unique trail feeling and a unique connection to the dirt. And it's something that I really enjoy.
The motor, with its 50 Nm of torque and 300 watts of peak power, is very natural in the way it operates and delivers the power. I would say it's very analog in its delivery, meaning that there's no power surges or motor overrun or any unpredictable behaviour.
One of the big things with the TQ system is just how quiet the motor is. Now, it'd be wrong to say it's completely silent because there is some noise that you can hear. But to give you an idea, I've got my microphone just here. I'm going to put it in the highest power mode. I'm in this beautiful open forest. And hopefully you'll experience what I've been hearing all day, and that is more the sound of the dirt and the tyres and the trail and the nature, rather than an overriding whine and clatter of a motor system. So full power mode, I'm just going to pedal up here, and I won't talk so you can hear exactly what I can hear when I'm pedaling in the full power mode. Now obviously it does get a little bit louder on steep, consistent climbs, but barely audible at all. But on more natural trails like this, you can just hear the sounds of the bike and the nature over the motor itself. It is the least intrusive e-bike system, I believe, that's out on the market. The display is LCD. It's not colour. I think it would be nice to see that as a colour LCD in a future update. And there's not a huge amount of features to it. It just sits in the background and gives you assistance to ride faster and further. Another thing that I like is that it can pair with my Garmin and it acts as an Ant+. So it can share to my Garmin the power that I'm putting in to the pedals, and it can share all of that data. It acts as a power meter, which is pretty cool.
So to conclude this video, who exactly are lightweight e-bikes for, and what is the point? I'd say that bikes with TQ systems are more like mountain bikes plus rather than an e-bike. They offer a natural ride experience with minimal distractions. They pedal similar to a regular mountain bike, but you just go further and faster. You still have to put in the effort though. You'll get a full-on workout, and perhaps you'll feel the burn like you do on a normal bike. But you'll have the benefit of getting to the top quicker, ripping in more laps, or you'll be more motivated to get out with a little bit of assistance. They handle extremely well, with agility and nimbleness that's associated with regular pedal bikes. And TQ systems are so discreet you can barely hear them, they just disappear into the background, and they give you a helping hand when you need it. And yeah, it might take you 7 goes like me to get up a steep climb, but when you do, it'll feel worth it, and you'll feel absolutely amazing.
Yes!